My name is Sandra Smith, and I'm 32 years old. About 3 years ago, I married my favorite person, Mike. We have a wonderful relationship, and I'm also very close to his sister, Emily. We get along like sisters. My husband and I have known each other for 10 years before getting married, so we are like parents to Emily. We've always wanted her to grow up well and have watched over her closely. When Emily reached an important milestone and got a marriage proposal from her fiancé, she wanted to introduce him to us, her surrogate parents. She said, "I would like to introduce my fiancé to you both." This was a very special moment for us because we had cared for Emily like our own daughter and were happy to see her finding a partner and striving for a happy future. It was a joyful time for me and my husband, Mike, and our hearts were full of happiness. Finally, the day came when Emily brought her fiancé, Daniel, to meet us. Daniel seemed to be around my age, maybe 32, and he was 5 years older than Emily. This made me realize she preferred older men. I observed him discreetly and was impressed by his solid features and calm demeanor. However, I noticed Daniel was glancing at me repeatedly. I wondered if he had something he wanted to say to me, or if something about me concerned him. Or was it just a coincidence? This question lingered in my mind. I quickly checked my clothing and hairstyle for any issues, but found nothing wrong. Perhaps realizing that staring at me was impolite, Daniel quickly averted his eyes. In the end, we couldn't understand why he was observing me so closely. Still, Mike and I decided not to worry about it and continued to introduce ourselves and converse with Emily and Daniel, who were sitting across the table from us. "Please take good care of my younger sister," was a classic phrase exchanged, and Mike responded with a smile, "Emily, I'm entrusting you to him." With this, Mike entrusted Emily's future happiness to Daniel, creating a warm atmosphere at the gathering and easing the initial tension of our first meeting. There was a moment when Mike asked Daniel a question he was curious about. "Daniel, may I ask where you work?" I was very interested in his answer and listened attentively. Daniel answered proudly, "You might have heard of it. I work at TE Company, which is growing rapidly right now." "TE Company? Is that a famous game development company?" I asked. "Yes, that's right," Daniel replied. "I actually changed jobs to work there last year. I didn't leave my previous job because I disliked it. TE Company directly scouted me because they valued my skills. So this is like a promotion. Don't worry, I didn't start as a regular employee," he explained. Hearing this, Mike and I were amazed. I widened my eyes in surprise, and our eyes met. Seeing our reactions, Daniel seemed convinced his story had impressed us, and he continued to speak with even more pride. "That's why I would like you to trust me completely with Emily. I'm rapidly climbing the career ladder at TE Company and am progressing faster than most. Even though I started as a regular employee, my salary will quickly increase, and my position in the company will improve rapidly, so please rest assured," Daniel said. Hearing his words, I was so surprised that I was at a loss for words. TE Company is very famous, and I am well aware of it. Mike must also know of TE Company. However, he doesn't work there, so he might not know all the insider information. I think both Emily and Mike are aware that TE Company has a great reputation in the industry. However, it seemed like neither of them had imagined that her fiancé Daniel would quickly rise through the ranks at TE Company after joining. I never imagined that Daniel's career was progressing so quickly. There were parts of his story that made me feel a bit uneasy. But I decided to believe him when he talked about being recruited by TE Company and climbing the career ladder at an incredible pace. As our conversation shifted away from work topics, I eagerly asked Daniel and Emily about how they first met. They said they were introduced by a mutual friend. Daniel was looking for a life partner, but didn't like attending matchmaking events, so he met Emily through a trusted friend. Emily was interested in having a boyfriend, but wasn't actively looking, so she agreed to meet Daniel when a friend suggested it. "I really love how Daniel makes me smile," Emily shared. "His slightly awkward but adorable side really captures my heart." As they shared their feelings with us, it was as sweet as sugar, even though we weren't eating anything sweet. Their close bond and deep affection for each other were very clear. However, there was something that bothered me. As they were leaving our house, Daniel and I walked them to the front door. Daniel started talking to Emily about bringing rice and other gifts. Then, while standing a bit apart, Daniel approached me and suddenly asked, "Hey, do you perhaps not remember me?" I tilted my head in surprise at his unexpected question. "Do you really not remember me?" he asked again, sounding a bit skeptical. I couldn't recall anyone named Daniel from my past. He was handsome, but no specific memories came to mind. Seeing me trying hard to remember, Daniel sighed slightly, unable to hide his disappointment. "Well then, let's exchange contact information, and please tell Michael later." "I forgot to exchange contacts with him," Daniel said. I was shocked by his sudden informal tone. We might have known each other before, but I didn't remember any close relationship with someone who would speak so casually. Inside, I was full of questions. Who is he? What kind of relationship did we have? But since Emily was present, I decided it wasn't the right time to ask these questions, so I stayed silent. After we exchanged contact information, I decided to clear up my doubts by texting him later. Before I could reach out, Daniel messaged me first, saying, "I'm surprised that the girl who used to sit quietly in the corner of the classroom when we were in elementary school is now married before me. To tell you the truth, your face hasn't changed much since then, so I recognized you right away. I grew up in a town far from here, and during my elementary school days, I was often teased by my classmates. To escape those painful memories, my family and I moved away when I started middle school. In the new city, I met my wonderful friend Michael, and we gradually built a strong bond. My elementary school memories are painful, and I prefer not to think about them." I was surprised by Daniel's words and asked, "What are you talking about?" I didn't want anyone to misunderstand my contact with Emily's fiancé, Daniel, so I explained that our messages were exchanged through Michael. We agreed that in the future, whenever Daniel and I needed to communicate, Michael would be with us to facilitate a three-way conversation. I didn't share the details of my past with Daniel. After I explained the situation, Daniel smiled warmly and asked, "Do you remember being called pure girl in elementary school?" The term had a specific background. It was used to tease me by my classmates. They took it from the word poor because I came from a single-parent family. Although we weren't struggling financially, some of the other mothers had said to my mom, "It must be tough financially because you're a single parent." This rumor spread among the children, leading to teasing. To change our situation, we decided to move to a new place. My mom also considered taking legal action against the moms who spread rumors like, "They must be living a frugal life because they are a single-parent family, probably even using cardboard boxes to prepare meals." This decision influenced our move to our new home. I hadn't heard the nickname Pure Girl, which was once used to tease me, in a long time. One day, I was surprised when a middle-aged man admitted he didn't even know the meaning of the word poor. I calmly told him, "Please be careful with your words. You are my sister-in-law's fiancé, and our relationship doesn't go beyond that. Please don't say meaningless things." After that, he stopped messaging me. Maybe he realized he should stop making rude remarks. Watching this exchange, Michael seemed upset by the man's words, and I could see his face cloud over with anger. "What on earth is that man thinking?" Michael said. "He doesn't seem to understand that he's dealing with the sister-in-law of the woman he's about to marry. He brings up the past from elementary school and acts like you're still kids. Isn't that crazy?" Seeing Michael tremble with rage, I tried to calm him down. I was also concerned, so I called my mom and asked her to look for a class photo from my elementary school days to see if there was a classmate named Daniel. My mom quickly found a boy named Daniel and said over the phone, "Wasn't this Daniel the main one who used to bully you?" At that moment, memories I had forgotten came back to me. The one who bullied me the most was indeed Daniel. I asked her to send me the photo from my elementary school days. Looking at the photo, I saw that Daniel had a much larger, chubby physique back then, which is probably why I didn't recognize him now. After that, I decided to investigate the situation further. A few months after our first meeting, I received a call from Emily. "Sandra, we haven't received your RSVP for the wedding invitation yet. You and your brother are planning to attend, right?" "What wedding invitation?" I asked. My husband and I had been looking forward to receiving the invitation, but it never reached us. When I told Emily about it, she seemed surprised and said, "I definitely sent it. Maybe there was a problem somewhere. Anyway, I'll come and give it to you directly tomorrow." She was very sincere about it. The next day, Michael and I received the invitation directly from Emily, and we confirmed we would attend. We had no idea what was waiting for us at the wedding or how much it would ripple through everything. On the wedding day, Emily was dressed in a pure white wedding gown, looking like an angel. I congratulated her on starting her new life, tears in my eyes. But then the groom, Daniel, ruined the celebratory mood. I wished for Emily's happiness and wanted the wedding to be a success. But when Daniel spoke, he pointed at me. Michael, Emily, and I were all surprised. "Why are you here?" "I deliberately didn't send an invitation," he said, looking displeased. It seems Daniel made sure that Michael and I didn't receive an invitation. This woman grew up with just her mother. When things get tough, she runs away. That must have caused financial hardship. Now she's found a man from a wealthy family, thinking she can live a carefree life. She's a dreamy woman who can't see reality. Daniel accused me without knowing anything about my past. Michael, sitting next to me, clenched his fist in anger. I gently told him to calm down. Daniel continued with his false accusations. "I hold an important position at the well-known tea company. If I marry Emily, are you planning to use your position as my sister-in-law to take money from me?" His friends were shocked and started talking amongst themselves. They seemed to share Daniel's narrow perspective. I approached a staff member nearby and asked for the microphone. Daniel smirked, perhaps expecting me to say something emotional. I responded calmly, "It's ridiculous that someone who can't even remember the face of the president at their own company dares to call themselves an elite. Think carefully. If you intend to sever ties with me, I'll be waiting in the president's office tomorrow, and we'll proceed with HR procedures." After saying that, I handed the microphone back to the staff and confidently returned to my seat. Michael stood up and headed toward the exit. Soon after, Emily started to walk in the same direction. Noticing this, Daniel called out to her, "Wait a minute. Why are you going that way too?" "I'm just trying to break things off with her." "If that's the case, there shouldn't be any problems, right?" Daniel, still not fully understanding the situation, spoke to Emily. She gave him a cold look and said, "You really don't know Sandra. She's the CEO of Tea Company. I have deep respect and admiration for my sister Sandra. I can't forgive you for belittling her. I'm breaking off this engagement right now. You've ruined such an important day in our lives. Be prepared." Shocked by Emily's stern words, Daniel was completely taken aback. Sandra decided to talk to the venue staff and remove her wedding dress. She informed the guests that the banquet would be cancelled, and the wedding would be changed to a simple meal gathering, making it clear that this kind of behavior would not be tolerated again. She firmly blamed Daniel for the breakup of the engagement. The ordeal wasn't over yet. The next day, as I had warned him, I calmly waited for Daniel's arrival in the president's office. Beside me stood two large, muscular employees, ready to step in if necessary. When Daniel arrived, he seemed confident at first, but that soon changed. He entered the president's office without permission and sat down without greeting anyone, which was quite rude. "No way. I can't believe you're really the president. This is unbelievable," he said. "If you had done any research, you would have found my information on our company's website," I replied. "Didn't you check before coming here?" It seemed he didn't take my words seriously and didn't bother to find out the truth. He probably thought I was joking or exaggerating. I told him, "I am thinking of terminating your employment contract." "What are you thinking? It's not fair to make such a decision over a slight misunderstanding," he said. "I will consult with the Labor Standards Inspection Office." As he tried to persuade me, I calmly placed a copy of his resume in front of him. "You have falsified your educational background, haven't you? You've claimed to have qualifications and skills you don't actually have, like proficiency in Excel and video editing. Are these statements true?" "About that part," he started, clearly caught off guard. "Falsifying information and making false claims are legitimate reasons for us to terminate your employment," I said directly. He looked shocked at my statement. From the moment I met him, I had a strange feeling about him. I later verified the facts. Our company doesn't usually use headhunting methods, and even if we do, I would meet and interview the recommended candidates directly. I had no memory of having a deep conversation with Daniel. He actually joined our company through the regular recruitment process for mid-career hires and started as a regular employee. He called himself someone aiming for promotion and claimed to be proficient in software, but he had no skills in using them, so he was never promoted. He had a high opinion of himself, and I investigated his attitude thoroughly. Even during work hours, he was lazy, just enjoying being part of the company. I had no intention of tolerating such behavior. Now, with his engagement to Emily officially ended, and since he continued to behave unpleasantly, I saw no reason to keep him around. I told Daniel to leave the company immediately. Since he had been with us for less than 6 months, there was no need to consider severance pay or the handover of duties. "As an old friend, won't you help me out?" he pleaded. "I see no reason to continue our relationship," I replied, arranging for other staff to handle his departure from the company. It seemed he was hoping for financial support from his father, but since his father had cut off support due to Daniel's behavior, that didn't happen. There was an incident in the past where my mother sued for defamation, and it seems Daniel's mother was involved. My father had paid the compensation back then, so he was familiar with such situations. Faced with a similar situation with Daniel, his father probably felt he had reached his limit and disappeared from their lives. After that, Daniel spent his days taking care of his elderly mother while dealing with the financial consequences of his actions. Eventually, he disappeared, taken away by some mysterious people in black, and no one knows where he is now. Someone might know what happened to him, but I have no intention of finding out. On the other hand, Emily was initially deeply hurt when she found out about Daniel's background. However, time heals all wounds. About 6 months have passed, and she now believes it was for the best that they didn't get married. Recently, she started smiling again and has even participated in events to find a new partner. Seeing Emily happy and living a brighter life again, Michael and I are truly relieved. In fact, it seems they are now actively